Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Motorgraph World channel. My name is Mari. Today I'm here with a surprise. It's latest addition to the N lineup. It's Corner Rascal, the IONIQ 5N. They say that it has the greatest high performance, so let's test it out on the road to see its high performance measures, but also the practicality of how well it drives on normal roads. So let's take a look at the design, aesthetics, and the details first. Compared to the IONIQ 5, it has become wider, longer, and a little bit lower. So overall, you can see that the color is very distinctive. I do like it a little bit better because it looks more aggressive. So if you come down to the face, this part here used to be filled and it had lights coming out of it before in the IONIQ 5. But now, because it's a high performance vehicle, you have these air intakes where it's open so that there's more air coming in and out for these slots here. And even with the lip as well, it's become much more aggressive. It's become wider right here with the widened tires, as well as the overall width of the car. All of the changes that have been made in terms of design are to encompass its high performance. So here with the wheel arch, it is enlarged a little bit bigger as to house the tires that have become wider. Here you have 21-inch wheels along with the 275/35 tires. They are a square fit with all four of the same. They do still have the character lines, which I'm still iffy about, but you do have the rugged lines a little bit added because of the N performance line, and of course the orange strip that also denotes that it's a performance vehicle. One slight concern with these wheels and the tires is that they're 21-inch wheels. Considering that 21-inch wheels and the tires are quite hefty in terms of maintenance cost, if you think about going to the track or to the circuit one time, you will use up your tires in maybe a couple of laps. Then you'll have to have new tires attached onto the car. That will be a hefty amount, because if you consider the Avante N, a lot of the owners actually sized down the wheels from 19 inches to 18 in order to have the maintenance fee be a little bit more sustainable. But for these wheels, because of the size of the brakes as well, it's not such a big option to size down or to have any other tires. So the cost factor will definitely be of concern. So now I'm at the back of the car, and as you can see, there have been subtle changes. There is the wing on the top of the car. This is for added performance and aerodynamic measures. There's also the back wiper. This actually was not there for the IONIQ 5, and Hyundai officials have mentioned that some of the features that will be upgraded on the facelift version of IONIQ 5 have been added to the IONIQ 5N. So I believe that we can expect the backside wiper to be added to the facelift version of the IONIQ 5 next time around. If you go down, then you do have some of the details of the designs that make it look more like the performance N line, such as the details of orange, also with the diffuser that it's on the bottom. However, I'm not sure if it actually really acts as a diffuser, because normally it has to be continued on from the bottom end all the way to the end. However, this is just attached there, so I'm not sure how much of a performance addition it will actually give. So, shall we open up the trunk and see if there's any difference? All right, so as you can see, there's not that much of a difference compared to the IONIQ 5. As for the height, of course, because it's a slanting roof, you won't be able to stack up so much on it. As for the lower compartment, you don't have any other space, but you do have enough space to put in whatever you would need. So now I've opened up the front bonnet of the car, and as you can see, this IONIQ 5N doesn't have a frunk. IONIQ 5 used to have a small compartment. I mean, it wasn't a huge space, but it did have a little compartment where you could put in maybe like gym clothes or shoes. However, this one is completely just void of that. So overall, the layout and the interior, not that much has changed. Some details to note that this is a high performance vehicle. Let's start off with the steering wheel. You have various different gadgets and buttons in order to press the function of the performance line. You have the different drive modes on your left-hand side. You also have the N modes. This model actually allows you to feel the aesthetics of an ICE model and kind of emulates the sounds of an internal combustion engine. You also have the kind of the boost function to give it an extra power. So that's where you have most of the controls. A big difference from the IONIQ 5 is that the IONIQ 5 was more of a family-oriented car where you had the middle island console moved back and forth so that the second row passengers could actually make use of this. However, this one does not move, so it's stable and it's just stagnant. It stays here. However, you can make use of the extra space because it's empty in the middle and you just need to place things here as well as the compartment here. Noting the fact that this car was meant to be driven on track on the circuits, you have bucket seats. The sides of these placements, when you're driving and when you are being pushed from side to side, they provide as a protective material for your knees or for your legs. The seats can be adjusted height-wise as well as front and back. However, it's not automatic. It's all manual. I thought maybe it would have been better if it was automatic or electronic. The height and the position of the driver's seat, because of the overall design of the car, is quite high up on the road. Considering that this is a high-performance vehicle, you want it to drive like a sports car. Sports cars are usually completely compressed down on the roads and you're almost lying there. However, this one drives more to the level of an SUV. It's quite high up. And because of the proportion of the car where the bottom part is a little bit fatter than the top part, you feel that you are definitely up higher on the road, and the seat position maintains that as well. One benefit of that, I think, is that it's easier to get in and out. Sports cars, you kind of have to crawl out of the car when you're done driving. However, it doesn't give you that much of an appeal of a sports car. And some good news for those in very hot and humid countries. These bucket seats also come with air-cooled seats functions. So you get the heating function as well as the cooling function. One more minor factor that maybe could have been a benefit or a plus factor was that if you had a seatbelt guide, because you have to reach far and then there's always that factor. It's just a minor detail, but if you could have that, it would have been, a bit better. I think that maybe they could have done with the orange detailing on the safety belts too. But inside here, it's all graphite, very dark. And only the button for the boost is in orange. So maybe they could have added some details for orange on the safety belt. One drawback, I believe, is that the center console is, I wouldn't really say too much about it. I mean, I don't think that I would have wanted the island console like the one on IONIQ 5. However, it's not the most ergonomic design because this part is a bit too low. This part is a bit too far back for me. I guess maybe all I would really need is this part. So overall, there are certain bits and pieces that were kind of not thought through for the driver's perspective. Another change, minor change, a glove box used to be the slide out method. However, this is the generic drop down method for the glove box. If you press on this star right now, then you have all of the controls for the car. You can adjust the different distributions of the torque, also the end pedal, the end race, and the end drift optimizer. However, one question that I do have about this is that I want the manufacturer to kind of set the controls in the optimal way that the car is supposed to be built in. And I want to drive that car as it was intended to be built, not by my own standards. I mean, of course, if you're an expert at it, then you can maybe control it, but not everyone is going to be an expert. Not everyone is going to be like Bill Gates in controlling computers. So how many people will actually be able to make use or make full use of this? Maybe in the first couple of months they will play around with it, but for the duration of the car's lifetime, I'm not sure how much. So now I'm in the second row seats. For the passenger seats, nothing much has changed because it's the second row seats. You still have a lot of room because of the wheelbase. This is a car that's quite big if you think about it. It doesn't look so big, but if you compare it with other cars, it's actually quite big. It's a really, really big SUV, although it has the form of an elongated hatchback. So you have the long wheelbase, that's why you have enough or more than enough leg room. You also have the headroom for it. And as we had tested in the IONIQ 5, you also have a very flat center. You don't have that center tunnel. Even for those who are sitting in the center seat, will have pretty much a comfortable ride. And in the second row, you also have the sunshades that are retractable as such. However, one drawback is that for the IONIQ 5, you did have electronically adjustable second row seats. However, these are still manual, so you only have the reclining function. And because of the center island that used to be movable front and back, you did have a little bit more storage space, but because it's stable, you don't move it, you don't have the extra added storage. So if you adjust the seats, it's foldable, and then this is as far as it goes back. This is the armrest that you would pull down. You have two cup holders in the middle. And this also has the V2L on the bottom, so that if you do need electricity from your car, you can make use of it. So this is driving under the normal mode. You have three different modes. So you have Sport, Eco, and Normal. So you would normally drive under the normal mode in most conditions. If you expect that gliding performance that you want from an EV, the ones that you are more used to for the IONIQ 5, the EV6, it's not something like that. Or the Niro, those all kind of glide when you step on the gas. This one has a little bit of pushback. It also has that rigidness of the suspension. It's a bit harder on the platform too. So when you're trying to go through pebbled pavements, you'll feel a little bit of those movements. And then this is actually equipped with the electronic suspension system. So let's try shifting it to the N. As for the change in the comfort level, becomes a bit more rigid. It seems like it tightens up. You hear it in the car reading more of the trembling and the vibrations. tested a little bit of what the car can do. Well, first of all, my first impression, the responsiveness of the EV. And we had 3.5 seconds, give or take, and even a little bit under that with the boost function. That is something that you would expect. What do you think about the sound? The thing that I don't like so much about EVs is that you don't feel a lot of that emotion, the vibrations and everything that is translated from outside into the car. I think they have tried to mimic a lot of the sounds and the vibrations of an ICE model into this vehicle, but what I keep on feeling is that it's very two-dimensional. It's only like one way. Whereas in ICE models, every little plastic or every little metal component of the car is actually running along with you when you are driving the car. That popcorn sound that we love in ICE models, and you can see on the barometer that it actually mimics the sounds and the feeling of an ICE model, and the RPM goes up until the red zone is hitting about 7,500 RPMs. They have done a great job of making this car feel as close to an ICE model as possible with the sounds and with the overall feeling. With N mode, you have great responsiveness and you get all of the characteristics of an EV. So when we actually tested the 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, it was actually a bit faster. So we got 3.56 seconds with the N mode. However, when we had the NE emulating the ICE conditions, there was a slight bit of a lag in terms of that function. So 0 to 100 kilometers per hour was a little bit delayed as well. So we had 4 seconds for the 0 to 100. So just as they say with the corner rascal, Hyundai is very proud of their cornering abilities. Considering that it's a car of this size and this wheelbase, this car does have great grip for the cornering. So right now we have traveled a distance of around 38 kilometers, 37 minutes give or take, and the battery life or the battery mileage at the moment is 3.6 kilometers per kilowatt hour. So we started the car at 76% battery life. At the moment it has fallen down to 48%. So now that we've done a review of the IONIQ 5N, what did you think about the car? Is it a game changer that will truly change the industry of EVs? I thought that it was a new take on EVs. However, I'm not sure about that game changer aspect. Tell us down below in the comment section and remember to hit subscribe. I'll see you next time.